Hello, and thank you for joining me on another episode of the Tech Exec podcast, where I help you create a team worth leading because life's too short to lead an average team. As always, I'm your host, Aviv Ben-Yosef, advisor and consultant to tech execs worldwide, and today we're going to be talking about taking it all in. Before I get to that, this is the last call. Don't miss out the first live session in my new free series about creating 10x product engineering teams. The first session is in a few days this week as this is coming out. It's about introducing healthy friction. What does that mean? You're going to have to check out the session. Sign up. Even if you can't attend live, you will get the recording. You ain't got anything to miss. So, link in the show notes. Now, let's talk about taking it in. I recently talked to a high-profile CPO who joined a very big and established company as their new CPO, and I checked up on him regularly every few weeks about what he's doing, what he's learned so far, what are his first steps. And I remember 6 weeks after he started, I checked up on him. And he said, no, I'm still taking it all in. I'm still learning what's happening. This is what this quarter is going to be about. And I'm going to start making plans the next one. Now, perhaps as you're listening to this, you're not cringing immediately. Perhaps this makes sense to you. But I have a major issue with this sort of an approach. And that is because, when a new president in the United States is elected, or here when we have a new prime minister or whatever, we haven't had a new one in a while, you see that they're saying what they're going to be achieving. They're aiming to do in their first 100 days, right? You have a new administration in the US. They're not saying we're going to wait a year and then decide what we're going to be doing. No, we know what we want to change. We know what improvements we can make. We know what better looks like, and we're starting to go there immediately. We want to see some results, some actions, some trends improving in the first 100 days. And if you can do this with a country, you bet that you can start making some decisions, start making some progress motion in the first 3 months in a new role. And this applies regardless whether you're new or not. This is about the mindset of how cautious you're going to be, how risk averse, how much you're going to be weighing things before you make some decisions. Because at the end of the day, so many of your decisions are not going to be irreversible, are not going to have such a high stake that you're going to have to consider everything and cover all of the different options it can take and spend weeks working on the risk management and contingency plans and preventive plans. Most of your decisions are usually decisions that you're better off just making a decision and fixing them fast as opposed to waiting and contemplating, because then you're not going to get any momentum. You're not going to move anywhere. So I'm not saying you should be moving fast and breaking things, but I am saying you should be moving, just sitting there as a spectator for months on end to start and make your first step. Usually what that means is that you're missing out on the window of malleability when people are just eager and expecting some change. And also it means that you're going to be moving so slowly. You're not going to have a speed of change that's anywhere near what it ought to be for organization to be a truly remarkable organization. You have to learn to move with the ambiguity, with the lack of certainty that just is part of the role. You're going to have to start doing some things regularly and fixing your decisions. And this relates to the previous episode about predictions. You need to predict what you think is going to happen, start working toward fixing the future to achieve that prediction, and if you're wrong, fix that. That's fine. We're not aiming for perfection. We're aiming for forward progress, making improvements regularly. If you're only looking for the perfect solutions, you're probably not going to make any step ever. All right, and this is what I want you to be focusing on. This is the takeaway from this episode. How are you right now allowing yourself to be too much in the take it in mode mindset as opposed to the let's do this mindset? How are you being proactive, taking risks, not crazy risks, but just the sort of risks that we ought to make if we want to see any real improvement? Okay, I'm betting you have something on your plate right now that you're taking too long to decide on, and if you decide, you're going to see some improvement. Okay, so do that if you need any help. You've got my email in the show notes, as well as a link to my regular newsletter, and again, the new free series to create 10x engineering teams. The first session is in a few days. Don't miss out. Check it in the show notes. Thank you. I'll be here next week.